of the job. The last speaker we actually have today, we're on to the last one now. She's called Diane Musho Hamilton, and she's joining us online remotely. It's actually 5 a.m.-ish in Utah, where she is, I think, about now. And she's a professional mediator and Zen meditation master. Diane is an award-winning professional mediator, author, and a Zen meditation teacher. She combines decades of work in conflict resolution with a depth of experience in sitting meditation. Diane often says that mediate and meditate share the same purpose, to bring what is divided or in dispute into harmony. She encourages us to work with our differences while discovering our fundamental unity. So can we give a standing ovation again for Diane joining us now?
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you for this.
Welcome, Diane, and I'll let you take it away. Go for it.
All right. Thank you so much. I need that standing ovation because it's very early here. So I'm super pleased to be here, and I'm also very humbled. I appreciate the presentation about sustainability and the invitation for us to participate with our future in a way that is both realistic on the one hand, but also we continue to be joyful and realize we can contribute in a way that brings us happiness. So thank you so much again for having me. As your host said, I'm a Zen meditation teacher, and I'm also a mediator. And she mentioned that mediation and meditation are really the same thing, in that when we sit down to meditate, we're really bringing attention to our mind and to our body and to our environment in such a way that we come into harmony, we come into oneness. And we notice that when that happens, our anxiety level drops, our ability to pay attention to what's happening in the here and now heightens, and just generally speaking, there's a quality of well-being, which is what I'm going to spend time on today. Because your hosts they really, after all these great topics that you've covered, the influence of technology, sustainable energy, the future of art and design, space, sustainable societies, all the focus on the future, there's so much potential, possibility. And at the same time, when we focus on the future, we often experience much more uncertainty. And also there can be just, the excitement that comes from thinking about the future also in the body is the same quality as stress. So that we have adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine in the body when we think about the future. So part of what your organizers wanted was to finish this experience today with how important it is to take care of yourself and how important your own well-being is to all of our future. So that's really the focus of the next 20 minutes, is just your well-being in the future. So as I was saying, meditation means bringing body, speech, and mind into one. And mediation means to address people who are in dispute, who are having conflict, who are struggling over their disagreements. And through the process of listening and really helping your clients see their underlying wants and needs, basically you discover what they have in common. And so you help to facilitate some quality of unity, sameness, or oneness. So oneness in the mediation world is the same as oneness in meditation. So really two becoming one. So everything in your future really is dependent on cultivating a very deep and true relationship to your own inner voice. And that's one of the things that we want to emphasize in this last session, is that our collective future depends really on everybody's individual relationship to themselves, how they take care of themselves, how you learn to follow your intuition and your instincts and your hunches and kind of enjoy the magic of how your life unfolds, as well as listening really deeply to what the world actually wants and needs from us. Because our life purpose, of course, is always related to what the world, how the world is changing and what the world needs. So much of what you've been experiencing at the conference is just what's emerging in this incredibly creative world that we live in. And how you show up to that and how you contribute to that is part of your long-term happiness. So I'm really hoping that just in this short period of time that I can encourage you to take care of yourself, both in terms of your health, to grow in terms of your awareness and your mindfulness, and to really make a deep relationship to your own life purpose. So what you do in the world actually helps you feel fulfilled and sustains your well-being as well. So just to kind of create an orientation, there's a long-term study from Harvard University, and it's been going on for over 75 years, and it's a study on happiness. And this particular study began with men, and then partway through, I think maybe 20 years ago, women's well-being was added to the study, and it's ongoing. And they've come up with 3 really straightforward conclusions, and they're somewhat obvious. They're not the most exciting, but it really is important for us to think and consider together what a difference they're going to make to your life. So the first one is how to listen to your own voice and develop your own authority, so that you have this quality of self-responsibility and you feel that you're empowered. So how do you develop that voice of listening is one of the things we're going to look at. The second one is creating meaningful relationships. People who report high levels of happiness also tend to have high-quality relationships. They last for a long time. There's a lot of empathy and compassion, but there's also a lot of authenticity, willingness to put challenges to others, and they're a source of tremendous satisfaction. People feel supported. They feel they can communicate about what's happening in the world, which is deeply satisfying. And they also experience their relationships as this form of growth. And then the third thing is what I talked about a minute ago, which has to do with life purpose. So let's just think for a moment together. How is it that you cultivate your inner voice? You might take a moment, if you wouldn't mind, just to bring your attention into the here and now, because we've been thinking and projecting into the future, and we've been thinking back outside in our lives and what it is we can do to support sustainability. So I'm really going to invite you right now to just bring your attention to the room and to what's happening right here and now in your world. And to consider that part of the opportunity that's ahead of you is really coming to get to know yourself, who you are as a very unique and particular human being in the world. And right now you're facing your future. It's just extremely exciting. But one of the things that's going to become more interesting as you develop is becoming more intimate with who you really are. And one of the things that I would suggest is that you take up meditation practice or some sort of practice that really helps you come into the here and now. Meditation will teach you about how to be in the present. It will give you the capacity to deal with your emotional challenges. It will be a source of relationships for you, and it will help you connect continuously to what it is that matters most in your life. Because when we sit down on the cushion together, or we sit down by ourselves, we become immediately available to what it is that really matters, to what it is that's really important. So I just want you to notice for a minute, what is it like to be in your body right now? And as you allow yourself to experience just your own form, to really appreciate how mysterious and unique it is to be in this body, that you're able to experience all of material reality with its beauty and its challenges and the way that because you have this body. So just take a moment to notice that in the here and now. And if you can be appreciative for this form, allow yourself just to feel appreciating this moment and appreciating this body. And then I would love for you to just experience your breath. And sometimes when we first start to notice the breath, there can be a little surge of anxiety, just in the sense that noticing the breath puts us deeply in touch with the fact that we're alive. You don't need to change the breath or manipulate it. Just simply notice it. And what a miracle it is that with the in-breath, you're pulling in oxygen. And with the out-breath, you're actually exchanging CO2. And in that way, you're completely, utterly connected to your environment at all times. Even though you might feel alone or separate at times, just noticing that with the breath itself, I'm completely connected to all that is. And just noticing the present. So you're noticing your body, you're noticing your breath, you're noticing the room, the people around you. And I'd like for you to just notice your mind for a moment. What thoughts are present there? And let's take a minute to appreciate in the here and now what a marvelous thing it is that we can learn. That you've been exposed to all these beautiful ideas and all these possibilities, and that your life has this tremendous opportunity for you to continue to learn, to grow, and to learn. And that what you take in your mind is as deeply important as what you take in through your body. So again, to encourage you to take up a practice like meditation, to do your psychological work, if you have healing work to do, to contemplate your family and your culture in a group or a therapeutic context. And most importantly, to develop a discipline that helps you quiet your mind. So the first thing that contributes to happiness is really connecting to yourself, to your own inner voice, and to your own authority. The second thing that really contributes to happiness, as I said before, is the cultivation of good relationships. But for that, you need certain skills. And one skill I'm really going to recommend that you develop over the coming years, sooner rather than later, is the skill of listening. Because good listening skills is what creates sameness and continuity in our relationships. And we have the deep sensation that we understand each other. And that's a really, really important skill to have. And like meditation, it has certain things in common. So one thing that we have in common when we choose to listen is that we become very present in the here and now. That we empty our mind of the past and the future, and that we open to what people are saying to us right now. And it's really important that you understand that good listening doesn't mean agreement. Sometimes people confuse the fact that if I really open and hear your perspective, that somehow it means I agree. So I'm going to encourage you with your listening skills to make that distinction. And the other thing that listening has in common with meditation is that there's a quality of the unknown. We have the opportunity to learn when we listen. Even right now, the way that you're listening to me, I can feel that you're receiving and taking in what I have to say in a way that I feel deeply connected, even though I'm on the other side of the world and it's 5:30 in the morning right now. So good relationships are really important. Your ability to listen is one of the most important skills in terms of cultivating good relationships. And I guess the other thing that I would say is that learning how to respect your differences. When we feel the same as others, we relax. When we feel slightly different from others, we get excited. Our nervous system starts to pay attention. That excitement can very quickly become stressful. And if we keep going, it can become threatening. And the oldest part of our nervous system starts to work, and we become defensive, seek cover, separate from one another. So learning how to work with your differences so that they can be exciting and interesting and you can learn from each other as opposed to becoming stressed by each other and also being threatened is a really important skill. So getting to know yourself is most important. Developing your relationships makes all the difference. And the third thing is what I talked about just a few minutes ago, which is that the relationship that you make to the world, because the world can be large, the problems we're facing are overwhelming, they're at a scale we've never experienced before. And because of that, sometimes when we think about the future, it feels impossible. But I think what I want to encourage you is to have confidence in your place in the future, that the very particular and specific person that you are in relationship to all that is, that there's something unique, there's something enjoyable, there's something that will give you energy. And I have complete confidence that if you really listen to yourself, that you're going to find a way to be in the world where you're making a positive contribution. One of the mistakes that we make is that we imagine that just the scale of the world and its issues, and we take that on. And what's more important is that you identify your unique role in contributing to that positive future. There's a saying in Tibetan that is really interesting. They say, never transfer the load of an ox to a cow. Never transfer the load of an ox to a cow, meaning don't take on the world's problems. Take on the challenges that are meant for you, that you can contribute to the wholeness of the world's problems. It's your job to make your contribution. It's not your job to save the world. It's all of our jobs to contribute to a future that is positive for everybody, where there's economic justice and there's racial fairness and there's, what's happening in India when there's a drought, or what's happening, when there's a wildfire in California or Australia. That's all of us. And we can feel that wholeness and we can contribute to that wholeness. But our job is to simply take on that thing that we each do well and not to imagine that we have to do it alone. Because the important thing is that we have each other going through this process of the future. And one thing that in adult development that we understand is that each generation seems to have the gifts and the talents that are needed for its particular time. So what I learned in the course of my life with meditation and spiritual development, I have to share that. And now what you're going to be learning is going to be kind of entirely new. And you're going to have the opportunity to share that with the next generation. So I really wish you all the best. Again, as I said, I'm super happy to be here. I hope that you find all the happiness in your life that you're entitled to. And I just really want to encourage you to say that even though the world's changing really rapidly, it can be frightening and uncertain. It's a really, really exciting time to be alive. We know so much more about how to be healthy, both mentally and physically. And you have so many talents and so many skills. And I just wish you all the best. And thank you again so much for having me here. Thanks, everybody.